Hey guys, I recently asked you to comment on video topics that you want to see. And I wanted to take 5 minutes and do a rapid fire answer to your questions. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right at it. Sherry M wants more videos on how the love bombing is so dangerous and how to sniff out the bull. Okay, the love bombing is extremely dangerous because it tricks your brain into this love-filled, red flag ignoring cloud, for lack of a better word. The way you sniff it out is to not ignore the red flags. The red flags are there. They will be there from the get-go. No matter how good somebody tries to hide them, they're still going to be there. So you need to not ignore them. What we tend to do is when we're in love with somebody and we see somebody making mistakes, is we look for the best in them, and we tend to just flat out ignore red flags like the silent treatment, like manipulations, controlling behaviors. We will attribute some excuse or reason for somebody acting that way, and we let it slide. I would address them right away with the person committing these acts, and if they don't change their ways, leave, because it's just the beginning of a pattern that's going to continue. Thank you. Next question from Lauren Shine. The narcissist's recycled supply. How long does the love bombing last? Do they treat them better the second time to keep them since they worked so hard to get them back? And why would they go back years later? Okay, so the love bombing, it doesn't last all that long, to be honest. Maybe a couple months at best, I'd say. And it does tend to peter out fairly quickly. As soon as they have you hooked is when they're gonna lay off. So it kind of depends on you. If they have a harder time hooking you, they're gonna have to work longer and harder. If you fall in love very quickly and fall into that trap, their job is done. Do they treat them better the second time around? Absolutely not. It gets worse. Every time you go back to a narcissist, if you leave them and you go back, the love bombing stage is going to be shorter and shorter. And when the abuse starts up again, it's going to be worse and worse. Why would they go back years later? Because they can. Because it's easy supply. They don't have to do as much work. It's much harder to groom a new target than it is to recycle supply, which is why we see so often narcissists recycling supply or going back to exes. Okay, next question from Supernova. The repetition of the narc's behaviors in relationships, the end game of their life, and how it turns out. The repetition, again, it's a cycle. And in this community, we can see how much we all relate to each other's stories. Everybody can put themselves into somebody's shoes who has gone through this. It seems like narcissists follow this unwritten textbook. It's amazing how repetitious their behavior is, not only among themselves, but each other. I don't know what it is. It's just part of the disorder. It's the way they operate, and it has a lot to do, I'm sure, with our responses and how they need to groom us in order to get us to respond and react and act the way that they want us to. The end game of their life, I think they end up lonely, sad, pathetic people. Maybe they'll have someone by their side, but that's going to be a miserable relationship. Narcissists are never happy. I don't care how perfect the person is on paper or how perfect they are in the beginning. The narcissist will find fault with them because they are human, and they will eventually end up resenting them. The person, the victim, they'll be unhappy and they'll be miserable. That's not to say they won't stay with a narcissist forever. It happens all the time, but I feel sorry for that person too. Okay, guys, that's 5 minutes. That's 3 quick fire questions. I'm going to do another one of these in a couple of days. Let me know if you like it. If you have more questions that you want answered, go ahead and drop those into the community section of my YouTube page, and I will read them and I will answer them on the next quick fire question and answer section. Okay, if you like this video, please click the thumbs up button, and if you don't already, please subscribe. I love you all.